The New York Jets have filled both of their open coordinator positions and are starting to fill out the staff. Could good things be in store for the team? We're going to discuss it all tonight, so let's get fired up. Thank you to everybody for joining me. Please subscribe to the channel if you not have not already, and like always, hit that like button as hard as you can. So the Jets have filled both of their coordinator positions, and they're starting to fill out the staff. I actually like some of the moves that the Jets have made. Um, I think this is a positive sign, an encouraging sign. And I always say, I want this to be the place where New York Jet fans come to feel better. And I mean that. And you know what? When I get phone calls like this one, I can't tell you how much it means to me.
You got to keep the
Thankfully,
positivity, though, Ricky. You do have to. You got me a little more positive. That's why I want to call in, because I was really down when I heard the news, really down, and I
well,
feel a little
that's
more
awesome,
positive.
man. You know what? That makes my day hearing that you called in here because you want to feel more positive. Because yeah, that absolutely makes my day. And let me tell you what. I like the hires that they've made so far. Um, Bringing in Frank Reich, that is somebody with prior play calling experience to run the offense. Um, Hopefully, this gives Glenn someone that he can have confidence in, that he can just say, "Okay, you handle the offense." Allow Glenn to focus a little bit more on the defense, call the plays himself over there. Um, I really like the fact that they brought back Carl Dunbar, who's a longtime coach in this league and has had success wherever he's been. Um, which, the fact that we didn't hire a coordinator right away, there were people that were saying, like, oh, no coaches are going to want to come here or anything. Well, I think the Dunbar hire kind of throws some water on that theory. Um, that theory doesn't seem quite as sound in light of that hiring. And I really believe that this could end up being a good thing, for the Jets. Allow Glenn to focus more on the defense, not have so many irons in the fire, so to speak. And, Brian Duker, he crossed paths, you know, with Glenn both in New Orleans and in Detroit. They've got experience working together. And he can do more of like the game planning and stuff with the defense, and then Glenn will call the actual plays. And I like that. And a lot of people referred to him as like a flunky, or a henchman, or something like that. And I said it, like, Glenn may be pulling the trigger, but a sniper is only as good as his spotter. Like, it's important for a coach to have a good supporting cast around him. And I think that's what we've got in Duker, like somebody that he knows, that he's familiar with, that he has confidence in, and that he can trust, that will work, hand in hand with him and get this defense turned around and playing the way that we expect them to play. And dude, listen, I know the question that every Jets fan was asking when they said, we've hired Brian Duker as our defensive coordinator.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
But you know what? Just because it wasn't like the big household name, it is somebody that Glenn is familiar with, that he has confidence in. Um, Additionally, you'll hear people saying that we're not going to be able to sign free agents because nobody wants to come here. Now, Alex Anzalone, the linebacker, who played under Glenn in Detroit, pretty much has expressed interest in coming here and joining the Jets. Now, initially, I didn't look at him as that strong of a free agent target because he is a little bit older player. And, I know that Glenn likes the young guys. However, dude, we could really use some veteran leadership in that linebacker group. What people don't know or may not know, I didn't know it. I have to give Boyd Green the credit for this. In his 9, he has played for Aaron Glenn in all but 1 year. When he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints. Aaron Glenn was there coaching at the time. He played under Glenn in New Orleans. When Glenn left New Orleans and went to Detroit, Anzalone went with him at the same time and under Aaron Glenn in Detroit. The only year of his entire 9-year career that he did not play for Aaron Glenn was last year. The last year that he was under contract with Detroit. So he was essentially finishing out that contract with Detroit. Now he's going to be a free agent. He wants to go back and play for Coach Glenn again. And so to me, like, that speaks volumes. It's nice to see that, yes, there's a good player that wants to come here and take a job here. And I like the fact that it kind of dispels that notion that people aren't going to want to come here. First of all, if you offer a guy a big enough bag, he's going to go wherever. But it doesn't matter to me. Like, it doesn't matter to me what, media says, what us content creators might be saying, like, what the fan base as a whole is saying. It doesn't matter to me in the scope of, whether or not we can sign players. What matters to me is what the actual players think. And, as this Fire Aaron Glenn campaign was building up steam, prior to the end of the season, there was an interview with Alvin Kamara, and like, he was talking about just coaching, and without anybody mentioning the Jets or Aaron Glenn or anything else, just, unprompted, he threw in just like what Aaron Glenn's trying to do in Detroit. Like, fans don't get it. Regular people don't get it, but I'm a player and I've been there and I've seen teams turn around, and I understand the process, and I believe in the process, and I believe in what he's trying to do. And so, when you hear players of that caliber talking about him, like, that says a lot more to me than what a super frustrated fan might say, because, dude, we're sick of it. We're sick of the losing. And this is the thing. This is one of the reasons that I had such a problem with, like, the Fire AG campaign right off the bat. Like, the league is a league of second chances, and I don't think it would be fair to Glenn for him to be one and done like that. This is a guy that, wanted to be here. And that's the thing. Like, people think if they get Aaron Glenn fired, if we could just fire Aaron Glenn, then, we'll bring in Mike Tomlin and or John Gruden, or, insert whatever perceived big name you will in that spot. But this is the thing. Like, Aaron Glenn wants to be here. He's a former Jet. He's one of us. He publicly stated that if he could have any job in the league he wanted, it would be this one. This guy bleeds jet green. His dream job is to be here coaching this team that nobody else in their right mind would want to come here to coach. And we're going to run him out of town just as fast as we can. Like, these supposed big name candidates that people are pining for to come here, dude, they're going to look at that and go, damn, he was one of their former Pro Bowl players, one of them, somebody that was so personally invested in that team, that bleeds jet green, that was his dream job, was to coach that team, and they shit all over that guy and could not possibly run him out of town fast enough. Why in the fuck would I want to go there and be a part of that? Like, seriously, you know. And that's the thing that I don't think the Glenn haters are really grasping. If they think it was hard for us to fill a coordinator position because people don't want to come here, go ahead and take one of your legacy players, drag him through the mud, you know, talk shit about him every single chance you get, and go ahead, succeed in running him out of town, and watch how fast none of those big name candidates want to come here. Yes, of course we'll find another coach, because there's only 32 NFL head coaching jobs on the planet. They are not easy to come by, and they also pay quite a bit of money. Naturally, there's going to be somebody that takes that job. But I'll tell you what, you take one of your legacy players like Aaron Glenn, you shit all over him, you run him out of town after a year because you're frustrated over the last 15 that were not of his creating. Let me tell you what, the Harbaughs, the Tomlins, you know, Clint Kubiak, Cliff Kingsbury, you know, any of these younger offensive-minded guys that you and none of them want to come here. None of them will want to come here. So go ahead and pound your fists on the table and yell at the top of your lungs, fire Aaron Glenn as many times as you want. I'm just saying right now, be careful what you wish for, okay? We are Jets fans. We should fucking know better than to say it can't get any worse than this, because every time we do, it does, without fail. Now, me personally, I've chosen to use my time more productively. We've already been told that Aaron Glenn is here for this year. Whether we like it or not, he's not going anywhere. So screaming fire Aaron Glenn is nothing but a complete waste of time. I don't want to waste people's time. But I understand it for especially the guys that, you know, create content and do shows every single day. I can imagine the frustration, you know. Maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic because I don't do shows every day. I'm more, you know, and this is just me, but I would rather be more about quality than quantity. Like, you know, I want to give you guys a good product, you know. First of all, it's a Jets show. It is about the team, but more so it's about you guys. It's about the community, just giving us a platform for me to connect with you guys and for you to connect with each other. And it's really about the community, even more so than it is the team. But, you know, the thing is like, I don't do daily shows, and like every time somebody says the word Jets on TV, you know, I don't post a link like, you know, addressing the shocking statement made by so-and-so, you know, because most of the time the statements aren't really that shocking. It's just somebody else taking a cheap shot and trying to kick us while we're down. But dude, I want to just keep it to the pertinent facts, like the important information. I will make sure I provide to you. I don't want to do a show on, like, you know, every silly report that doesn't mean everything. Like, I want this show to kick ass. I want to put on a killer show. You know, I don't want to just waste time on nothing burgers like that. So, yeah, I want this show to be all killer, no filler. And that's the way I like to do it. That's the way I like to keep it. Each one of these, I've already touched a little bit on how I think Duker will be a good thing. Now, There's been a lot of speculation that maybe we could trade for Jacoby Brissett, because Frank Reich did coach him when they were in Indy. I would not be opposed to that necessarily. At first, I was thinking, hell no, I don't want to trade any assets. But if it's like a late round pick swap or something, like, yeah, shit, yeah, I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. And thank you, Valerie. And guys, if I don't keep up with the chat quite as well tonight, please bear with me. I got the flu and I feel like crap, to put it bluntly. But I said there was going to be a show, and so there's a show. Hopefully my voice will hold out for the duration. And if I'm not quite on my game with the chat, I apologize in advance. I was having a rough go of it. I did like a brief kind of hangout show last night, and I was really struggling to like interact and keep up with the chat and everything. And it's not like a massive amount of multitasking, but feeling under the weather, it was more difficult than it should have been. At any rate, back to Frank Reich. Like, dude, I like the fact that Reich, has prior experience. Thanks, Valerie. I bet I do. I probably sound like crap, but I bet you I probably don't sound as bad as I feel. At any rate, I like the fact that Reich has former play calling experience. And the thing with Tanner was, I don't think it was his schemes or necessarily the plays that, let's say the plays themselves that he drew up. I don't think were the problem, because we saw receivers running open. We saw that he could scheme guys open. It's really hard to evaluate Tanner when we had quarterbacks that were just sitting back there holding on to the ball forever and taking sacks. It made the offensive line look bad. It made things tough on everybody. However, I do think the thing that maybe made them want to move on from Tanner is not the actual plays in the playbook, but when he called them, like in-game situations. And additionally, and more importantly, in-game adjustments, or in this case, lack thereof. You know what? Like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. You know what? There were plenty of times last year when the game plan we went into the game with was not working and we got punched in the face. And when that happens, you have to adjust. Sometimes you got to throw that plan that ain't working out the window and do something different on the fly. And we didn't do that. I think that was a big thing with, our in-game adjustments and why maybe they lost faith in Tanner. And initially, I was hoping that when I heard that Tanner might have a different role or might not be calling plays, I was thinking, you know what? He's a former quarterback. Maybe Tanner is like a devoted team guy. Like maybe he has that same kind of devotion like Glenn does, where he said, you know what? Let somebody else call plays and let me just work with this young quarterback and develop him because I know that's important. And you know what? As it turns out, that wasn't the case. Apparently he's getting hired down in Atlanta to be their passing game coordinator, which is the role that he had in Detroit. And you know what? Good for him. I wish him nothing but the best. He seemed like a really good guy, and he was learning on the fly, and it was tough. And I don't mind coaches hiring first-time coordinators, but the problem is when you've got a rookie head coach who's learning on the job. Like, you can have a rookie head coach, but you need to have experienced coordinators. Or you have an experienced head coach that can maybe take a gamble on a rookie coordinator. But to have both at the same time, that's kind of counterproductive. And I'll admit, I think that was a misstep by Glenn. Um, I do think that Glenn has learned from his mistakes and is doing his best to make sure that doesn't happen again. And, you know, Jake had a couple of good interviews earlier today. He had Harrison Phillips and he had A.D. Mitchell. And at the end of the A.D. Mitchell interview, he asked him, after a 3-14 season, like, what's your message for Jets fans moving forward? And it was almost like he didn't quite know how to answer the question. But leading up to that, he had said several times that he believes in Coach Glenn. He believes in his vision. But the one thing that he did say when he was asked that question is losing isn't okay with us. It doesn't sit well with us. And I can guarantee you that us players want to win even more than the fans want us to win. And I thought that was a good quote by him. I thought that was an awesome quote by him. Because as much as we want them to win, I guarantee you those guys want it even more than we do. And that's what I like to see. And nobody wants to win more than Aaron Glenn. And you know what? Let's look at it. Aaron Glenn, formerly a Jet, has personal ties to the organization. He is personally invested. It means the world to him. This is his dream job. He got it. He comes in. He's kind of loud. He's kind of brash. We have a 3-win season. People are ready to run him out of town. Let's rewind 15 years. Rex Ryan gets here. He's got former ties to the organization. His dad was a coach here. He grew up watching the Jets. His dream was to be the Jets coach. He got that job. He became our coach. He came in. He was loud. He was brass. We went to the AFC Championship in his first year. Everybody loved him. What is the difference between those two guys? One of them won games and one of them didn't. I guarantee you, if Aaron Glenn, every press conference, everything was exactly the same, all the silly shit that people like to bitch about, but we had won 10 games, 11 games, dude, nobody would want him fired. We wouldn't give two shits what he said at the podium when he got up there, as long as we were winning games. However, we did not win games. And so, and you could say, yeah, I loved Rex. Dude, everyone loved Rex in the beginning when we were winning. You know what? When we were losing and we had 5-win seasons, 3-win seasons, all that loud talking and shit that Rex used to do, that got old really fast when we were no longer winning. The going up to the podium with the wig on, looking like his brother, like that shit ceased to be funny when we were no longer winning. Winning cures everything. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately too. With as far as some of the other content creators, I'm a little bit older person, but dude, back when Rex Ryan was here and we were going to those back-to-back AFC Championship games, there was not a New York Jets YouTube community back then. Like, nobody was doing content back then. Not Jake, not Jets Central, like none of them, nobody. And I really started thinking about it. Jake is probably 20 years younger than me. Actually, probably a little bit more than that. Buffalo Jets young guy. Ian, Jet Central young guy. Ryan's younger than I am. Matt O'Leary is younger than I am. And a lot of these guys, I mean, they were probably elementary school age kids when Rex was here. And so maybe they don't completely get it. And it you know, I don't know, like they're not old enough to remember like the 98 season or, the early 2000s under Herm Edwards, where we were in the playoffs more than we were out. And so really sitting back and thinking about that, it's like, damn, what if I had been doing Jets content for like the last 5 or 6 years straight, doing a show every day, or in Jake's case, multiple shows a day, and not ever have one single winning season to be able to talk about. And dude, you know what? I like a good rant like anybody else. We play to win the game. They are who we thought they were. Jim Mora with the playoffs. Dude, a good rant is awesome. But you know what? I would rather watch somebody else's coach rant or somebody else's content creators rant, not us. Some people love it when Jake blows his top and loses his mind. And dude, you know what? I would much rather see Happy Jake when he's doing shots with us and celebrating a win. Dude, I would like nothing more for this entire fan base, and especially the content creators, to just have a winning season, and I don't mean like a 500 season. I mean like a wild card appearance type season. Dude, it would be so much fun to be able to come in here and talk to you guys about, damn, you know what? It's been so many years, but we're finally back in the fucking playoffs, because, dude, some of my best Jets memories are from playoff games. Being the only team ever to completely shut out Peyton Manning in the postseason. That game was awesome. Fucking loved that game. All the years that we went to the playoffs under Herm Edwards. And for the people that say like Woody Johnson is this shit owner, this, that, and believe me, he's fucking goofy and incredibly socially awkward. But the fact is, he's owned the team for 25 years. In the first 10 years that Woody owned the team, we went to the playoffs 6 times. In the 35 years that preceded that, we went 8. So, I mean, with Woody as an owner, things started off pretty good. 6 years out of 10 in the playoffs is a pretty good fucking average. However, now it's been 15 years since we've been back. There was the Fitzmagic year, almost got in, but didn't. There was the Favre year where we started off good. And along the way, there have been some dumbass things that have happened. Gino getting his jaw broke, Sam getting mono. The weird shit that happens to us just doesn't seem to happen to other teams. And the Adam Gase hiring was a complete fucking disaster that literally did nothing but set us back. We've had some bumps in the road along the way. That being said, although it has been 15 years since we've been into the playoffs, double that amount of time, and in the last 30 years, the Jets have won more playoff games than the Bills and the Dolphins combined. So take that for what it's worth. At least when we went to the playoffs, we fucking won. More than I can say for Miami. Now, the Bills actually won in the playoffs recently, so I can't really say that about them. Didn't make it all the way. 2 years ago, I said that Josh Allen is the new Dan Marino. Best quarterback you've seen that'll never take it the distance. And I'll stand by that. I still stand by that. And that's a great comment by Pagan Artie. they need to start playing like a team, not a bunch of individuals. I completely agree with that sentiment. Um, Aside from the abysmal play on the field, which was awful, uh, dude, that game against Jacksonville, where every single time they targeted Quincy Williams was either a big play or a touchdown. Uh, Dude, I'll tell you, getting ready to watch the game, and it was the game where we wore those rivalry jerseys. I'm watching the game, and I'm seeing Quincy Williams show up to the game in Joker makeup. And, dude, I'm not going to lie, and it's not because I was high, although I was. It took me like over an hour to put it together, like the Joker with Gotham football, because I'm like, it's December. Why the fuck is this fool wearing Halloween makeup? Aside from that, dude, you're like a 2-12 team. Why the fuck are you showing up for the game in Halloween makeup at all? A lot of times people say like they don't think people can handle the pressure of the spotlight in New York. This, I think, is an instance of the spotlight not being too much pressure that they can't perform. This is a case of the spotlight probably giving too much attention to people who haven't earned it. And I know he was a former Pro Bowl player, former All-Pro, but he ain't played like that lately. And, just like the sack of Kyler Murray, he levels him. It's all brutal looking. The helmet goes flying off. But he forces a fumble. And instead of trying to recover the ball, he's over there busy doing his celebration shit because he thinks about himself first. He did that in 2023 against the Bengals. Same thing. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, this fool is still making the same mistakes he made ages ago. And I honestly think that, CJ Mosley was the brains of the operation, and without him being there to get guys lined up and make sure that guys are in the right spot, Quincy was lost out there, and he looked like it. Guys were out of place, didn't maintain their gaps, didn't maintain their assignments, and they just looked like they were all out of sorts and didn't know what they were doing. And I get it, they were learning a new system at the beginning of the year. But I'm going to say what Jake says, like, should it have looked that bad? And you know what? In all honesty, it should not. So I don't know. Now, the good thing is Quincy Williams is on his way out. And you know what? Early in the season, this past season, I was actually advocating for them to keep him. Now I could not see him go fast enough. And unfortunately, there's no way Sonny Styles is going to make it to us at 16. However, CJ Allen, the linebacker from Georgia, who I happen to like a lot. I was listening to Connor Rogers and Trevor Sikkema, and they put up a video, I think day before yesterday, of like their top 8 linebacker prospects. And he was number 3 on both lists. Obviously Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, 1 and 2. He was 3rd on both lists. And as Connor was breaking him down, he said, now, this is the one thing that it's not going to show up on any statistics or any spreadsheets. It's not going to show up in any data like that you can look at, but is super important. And I think I have to point this out, is watching CJ Allen. Like, dude, he's out there, calling out the plays, getting guys lined up, getting in the right spots, like, right up until the whistle, or until the ball is snapped a lot of the times. And you can't quantify that. Like, that's not something that's going to show up on the stats, but it is super important. And to have that kind of leadership and, in that Kirby Smart defense, dude, having a leader like that is important. And we need a guy like that. We need a guy like that badly. So I'm like super, super high on CJ Allen. I was before, since listening to that, even more so. That was a quality I kind of thought that he had, but hearing that only confirmed it for me. And make no mistake, we need a leader on the defense. When people used to hear the term like, "Oh, CJ Mosley is the leader of our defense," like, I think people just thought that meant he was like a rah, let's go get him kind of guy, but it's not at all. Like, CJ Mosley had played so much ball, and there was nothing in the NFL he hadn't seen. So he could literally look at the offense and diagnose what they were trying to do to us, which enabled him to, get guys lined up in the right spots. And he was literally the quarterback of our defense. And our defense lost their quarterback. And nothing against Quincy Williams. He's a good guy. I like Quincy. But, when you listen to him talk, he's not the Rhodes Scholar. He's not a super sophisticated guy. He's not the brains of the operation, let's say. He was not to cut out to take over that role when Mosley left. I questioned whether or not Sherwood would be able to do that. And I hate to admit it, I was right about that. Sherwood was not capable of taking his place in that capacity. And dude, I'm that's nothing to beat my chest over. I'm not happy that I was right about that. I'm not proud of being right of that. I wish to hell I was wrong about that. But I wasn't. You know what? That's not true. Carly, Chad Pennington was. But no current players. At any rate, we desperately need that kind of leadership on our defense. I'm curious to see whether the hiring of Dunbar is going to change our draft philosophy. If we are going to lean more towards a 3-4, which, would kind of dictate the type of personnel we draft. I think it's going to be, multiple fronts, but we might be playing a little bit more, 3-4. It's all good, Carly. I was just teasing you, but that really is true. And Bill Parcells, who's, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest coaches of all time, period, said Chad Pennington was by far the most intelligent player he had ever coached. And that says volumes to me. And we have a caller. Charles, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you? Doing good myself. But for Bill Parcells to say Chad Pennington was the most intelligent player he's ever coached, that's saying something, man. Oh, that's right. He was also on, I forgot, Bill Parcells was also in the front office in Miami in 2008.
Yep.
When that team, won the division and made the playoffs with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a Super Bowl winning coach with the Giants. He came here, was successful in New England. He was in Miami for a while, like you said. He didn't
do a bad job in Dallas either. I know some people would say he was a dinosaur, but he didn't do a bad job in Dallas, as far as I'm concerned anyway.
No, and you know what? He probably scouted out and identified talent in Dallas that I think goes way under the radar.
Tony Romo
and tight end Jason Witten.
Man. Oh, Jason Witten's one of the greatest of all time.
Dude, Jason Witten was a great pass catcher. He was a good blocker. He was just a good, solid, all-around tight end, man, for a long, long time.
And he was a great player for so long. And as much as I wasn't really a fan of the Cowboys primarily because of Jerry Jones, I'm still not a fan of Jerry Jones. Jason Witten was one of my favorite players in the NFL. I mean, he was all Giant fans, quote unquote, hated him because he kept burdening them so much on their defense. But he was a great tight end for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of the, if he's not a Hall of Fame, doesn't get into the Hall of Fame at some point, we got problems. I mean, that
Would
guy's
be a shame.
I
That would
know.
be a shame. I really like him. That he was a really fun player to watch for a long time. And
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can't. But he was awesome tight end, Jason Wood. He also drafted one of the greatest pass rushers of all time in DeMarcus Ware. He helped bring in Tony Romo, who was an undrafted free agent at that time. So, yeah, I mean, listen, Tony Romo, I know a lot of people haven't been crazy about him as a broadcaster recent years, but he was some of a fun player to watch in his heyday. Do I think he was a bad player? No. I wouldn't mind him being a quarterback coach either. I think that would be pretty fun to watch. Well, not fun to watch, excuse me. Well, both fun to watch and fun to have. But I got to say about Tony Romo, I think he dealt with a lot of bad luck. Like the snap against Seahawks, that was bad luck. Like the catch that was overturned against the Packers in the divisional round, that was bad luck. Right?
Yep.
And
let me ask you a question, and I am very anxious to hear your answer.
Can't wait.
People want
love that thing. I love that man.
Yes, people want Bart Scott to be our linebacker coach, a guy that has not coached a single day since he quit playing, who's been in TV the whole time since he quit playing.
On radio.
People were blasting me saying the only reason I wanted Aaron Glenn was he was a former Jet, which is far from being the truth. Aaron Glenn paid his dues in this league and worked his way up at every position you could probably fill but head coach before he got this job. I wanted him because of his experience, not because he used to play here. Which, I mean, yeah, because he used to play here, but it wasn't because
The
of
number
that.
one reason. I get what you're saying.
Now, conversely, which is funny, I don't hear any fans talking about, there's been talk about Kevin Mawai coming in to help with our offensive line because he was the assistant offensive line coach in Indianapolis when Frank Reich was there. Dude, I would
When you
love
have a Hall of Fame center, I know Kevin White's a Hall of Fame, but I don't think a lot of these modern day NFL fans don't know just how great he was at center. Unfortunately, I didn't see him on the Jets. I did see him when he was on Tennessee the last couple of years of his career. And he was great on that team. He helped pave the way for Chris Johnson to have the greatest season of his career in 2009.
Dude, think about this. He started off with the Seahawks and Rickie
Was great with them.
and then came here with Curtis Martin for nearly a decade, and then went to Tennessee. Everywhere that he played, he blocked for 1,000-yard rusher every single year of his career. And even after we let him go, like you said, he went to Tennessee and helped Chris Johnson have a 2,000-year performance, 2,000-yard performance. Dude, like that guy, you know what? Way to go. Perfect timing. Perfect segue for this. I've been meaning to upload this for like weeks now. But there's me and Kevin Mawai.
He's still one handsome son of a bitch, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's at 2012 at the Hall of Fame. You probably can't see it, but in the background behind us, right above that camera flash, are the busts of the different players. But I was literally standing there looking at the busts. I had maybe been there all of 15 minutes, if that. And I turned around and, eye level to me because I'm a midget and he's a giant.
Oh, stop it.
is this like Samoan armband tattoo. And like as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I know that tattoo. Like I knew exactly who was standing behind me. I didn't see him walk up. I didn't see him walk in behind me at all. But I turned around and there's Kevin Mawai. And man, I was like over the moon. I was so excited to meet him. And I was like, dude, you are the best pulling style center to ever play the game of football, like ever, like hands down, the best. And he smiled and he kind of thanked me. And then he kind of leaned over close to me and he's like, you might want to keep that down with all these Steelers fans around here. Because there's like 4 Steelers getting in that weekend. And the place was full of Pittsburgh fans. But dude, he was really super nice. His wife took that photo of us. And yeah, man, that was probably one of the high points of my fandom. And you know, when I first walked in that day, I ran into Terry Bradway and another guy from the Jets head office, like coming down the steps as I was going in. Within 15 minutes, I met Kevin Mawai. I saw Vinny Testaverde that weekend.
He's a nice guy.
He's an awesome guy. And, you know, because he has lots of ties here in Tampa, I've actually met him on more than one occasion. But
he played for the U too, right? Vinny Testaverde?
Yeah. And
sure.
I was fortunate enough to meet him a couple of times. And then, you know, at the end of that day, I ended up meeting Curtis Martin. And, you know,
I hear he's a gentleman off the field.
He wrote this nice personalized message to me on the photo that he signed. And which is a Winston Churchill quote. If you're going through hell, don't stop. Which for the longest time, it was one of my favorite Curtis Martin quotes, and I didn't realize he stole it from somebody else, but it's still an awesome fucking quote. But dude,
Curtis Martin is a wonderful human being for what I understand.
Dude, he was the nicest person you could ever meet. And, you know, in full transparency, I was an absolute fucking wreck when I was at the Hall of Fame. Like, friends and family members like didn't even know if I would make it back from that trip out of town. I was in such bad shape personally at that time. And dude, Curtis, like, you know, I got to meet him, and going in, I had this plan. Like, you know, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I got to meet him. You know, I kind of like planned it out with the guy in line behind me to like take his time and hold the line up. So I had time to talk to Curtis, and he did an incredible job at that. But I was like, hey man, you always said that you wanted to use football as a platform to try to help people. And I just wanted you to know I'm one of those people that you helped. Like, your words really helped me, you know? And to me, that was like mission accomplished. I did what I came here to do. And that was the end. I thought I was going to walk away and that would be the end of it. And he like looks up at me and he's like, what were you going through in your life that you felt that you needed my help? And like, he's looking up at me, and the look on his face, like a concerned look on his face, like he was actually interested or actually gave a shit what I was going through, completely threw me off my game. Like, I was not expecting that at all. And I really didn't know what to say at that time. Like, and I'm thinking, this guy has lost close family members to horrible acts of violence. Here I am feeling sorry for myself because, you know, both of my parents and my godfather and one of my best friends had all passed away in like a 1.5 year span, but they had all lived like long, healthy lives, you know, with the exception of my friend Nathan, who unfortunately had bone cancer. But like, I'm like, you know, how dare I feel sorry for myself? Like, look what this guy's been through. But so I kind of looked at him and I went like, dude, how do you just keep going on when you lose everybody that's close to you? And we ended up having this like really surreal conversation about coping with death. Like, it had nothing to do with football. You know, in a million years, I would have never thought if I met Curtis Martin that is a conversation the two of us would have had. But dude, like, the fact that
my dad's a huge fan of his too.
Yeah, we're there at the Hall of Fame, probably, you know, one of the single most important days in this guy's entire life and career. and he takes, over 15 minutes of his time to just sit and talk to me because I was having a tough time at the time. Like, dude, I can't even fucking tell you like what that meant to me and how changed I was at the end of that. And afterwards, like, eventually they told us to move along, and me and the guy I was with, we kind of looked around inside the building for a few minutes, and we got ready to leave. And this is like 10 minutes or so later. And as I'm reaching out to push the door to walk out of the place, I hear somebody yell like, "Hey, Rickie," like kind of across the room. And I turned around, and Curtis is like standing up at the table, like looking across the room at me. And dude, there's like 300 people waiting for autographs. They're all turned around looking at me. And I felt incredibly awkward and on the spot. And he goes, "Hey, man, no matter what happens to you in life, never quit and never give up." And I said something dorky like, "I won't, I promise," or like said something fucking stupid and walked out because I literally just didn't know what to say. But like after I walked out, I had like a couple people run up to me and they're like, "Dude, you know Curtis Martin, and I'm like, "No, I literally just met him a minute ago." And like the one guy called me a dick or something, like thought I was lying. But dude, that really
People are idiots, man. Don't worry about them.
like,
but that's awesome, man. That's a wonderful.
right? The fact that he remembered my name, I was like, you know what? I just made either a really good impression or a really bad one of the two. But it shocked me that he remembered my name. But yeah, man, like Curtis Martin was always my favorite all-time NFL player before that. But
you loved him even more after that. Oh, that's awesome, man. No, Curtis Martin my dad really liked him a lot. He liked the way he handled his business, loved the way he played the game. And my dad said he was one tough cookie, never took a play off. And, my dad really, have you listened to his Hall of Fame speech? That was a really good speech.
Yeah. Dude, I was there for his Hall of Fame speech. And dude, I'll tell you what, there were times during the story that he told about his childhood that there was not a dry eye in that entire place when you were looking around. It was very honest, very emotional. And for anybody that has not seen it, I encourage
watch it, man. It's a great speech. It's a great speech, man.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is a perfect segue for what I have to say now, because I have some breaking news. February has 28 days, so we're doing our 28-day giveaway this month at the end of the month on the 28th, where I will be joined by Dylan Terriman for the show that day. We are going to be giving away a signed Curtis Martin photo. That one of the photos I got signed that day when I was at the Hall of Fame. We're going to enter one caller from each show towards that contest. And Charles, since you were the first person to call in for this show today, you are automatically entered for that Curtis Martin signed photo at the end of the month. So congratulations.
It's such a shame I didn't see him play. I saw highlights of him later on, but I probably should do a video of Jets players I wish I had the chance to watch before I legitimately got into NFL football in 2008. Because one of them is, I'll tell you right now, the other one is definitely Wayne Corbett. And it's funny, 2008, Wayne Corbett was long retired after that. I know Jeff Fan, he was basically in a lot of ways Wes Welker before Wes Welker, although not as fast probably, but he was still a good wide receiver, Wayne Corbett. He rarely dropped the football, had a very good pair of hands, and was a good guy in the locker room, a good teammate.
I'll tell you what, that's a tremendous idea, Charles, and I'll give you another suggestion. In addition to Wayne Corbett and Curtis Martin, another player from that era that you should do a video, John Abraham. Absolutely.
I saw him play when he was in Atlanta. He was a beast with the Falcons.
Dude, let me tell you.
And he had one or two good years with the Cardinals.
He was good with Atlanta, and he was still good in Arizona when he got there. Like, Dude, that was a guy, like, when you saw one of those games where John Abraham had like a 4 and a half sack game, like, dude, John Abraham was one of those guys that when he got hot, he could absolutely fucking wreck another team's game plan.
He's still,
that guy was a beast.
even though he only played for the Jets for about 6 years, he's still regarded as one of the greatest players in the history of the franchise.
I think he was that good, man. Like, I'm telling you, fucking, I've got a John Abraham jersey here. It's one of my favorite jerseys, dude. I'll tell you what, man. Like, that guy, one of my all-time favorites. Absolutely.
Yeah, Abraham was a sack machine, and Adirondack, like, my dad liked him a lot, but there was problems where he had a hard time staying healthy. John Abraham. Do I think he's a Hall of Fame talent? Absolutely. I think he definitely deserves some consideration for the Hall of Fame. He was a tremendous passer for a long time. He was a double-digit sack. But, Danger Zone wants to know who's your least favorite Seminole of all time.
That's really easy. DJ Ukulele, whatever the fuck that idiot's name is. His brother Mateo is a pass rusher from Oregon who's actually coming out in this draft class. Dude, a year before last, we had that 1 year season, 1-win season with him at quarterback. Imagine Justin Fields, but without the physical talent and without the ability to run. And that's what he was like. He was the worst thing I've ever seen. Somehow he actually ended up getting drafted, I believe, in like the 7th round or something, and is actually in the NFL on the Chargers practice squad last I checked, which is bewildering to me because, dude, I'm telling you, like, if you gave me a choice between him and Brady Cook, I'd take Brady Cook. That's how bad this kid was. Like he was by far the worst thing I've ever seen.
Did you at all like or respect Deion Sanders when he played?
Hell yeah. Love Deion.
Prime time, baby. Prime time, baby.
Yeah, I mean, dude, his ego was always like that, even in college. Like, I mean, he talked a lot of shit, but he could back it up. Deion was awesome.
And he studied hard, too, Deion. He studied hard. He played hard, never took plays off. Was a great football player, Deion Sanders. I know he didn't do that well in Colorado this year with all of his players gone, but, I know a lot of people wanted him to coach the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't see that shit happen.
I didn't think so either. But dude, there's been a lot of good players. You know what? Jets fans will hate me for saying this, but in college, Dalvin Cook was one of the most exciting players I ever watched in person. Like, there'd be a lot of those little 2 and 3 yard runs, but if you kept feeding him,
he was in Minnesota before he wasn't the same player. I don't think they'll hate you for that.
But yeah, I mean, he was really good in college. Ramsey was really good when he was there.
James Winston.
Also, Derwin James, another one of my favorites when he was there at Florida State. Brian Burns, also a big fan of his, and he's fucking.
I love Brian Burns too. He had 16.5 sacks this year.
Yeah, I know, dude. Like, he's friggin' good. So there's been a few guys over the years. So, but
I said James Winston too.
What's that?
James Winston.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you what. I like Jameis, but I got to tell you, I think I'm an even bigger fan of Jameis the person than I am Jameis the player. Like, Jameis Winston's funny, dude. Like,
always funny as hell.
Cracks me up. I enjoyed him.
He's
which
funny
I don't
as hell.
know if he's going to be playing or not. Like, I had read a thing that he had like signed a deal with Fox to be broadcasting next year, which I think would be awesome.
He'll be with Brady, with Gronk, with Edelman, with Charles Woodson.
Dude, with those. Yeah, I would trade Tony Romo for Jameis Winston in the booth right now. 10 times over. Dude, I think Jameis would be entertaining as hell to listen to during a game.
That's interesting. No, that's a pretty good understandable. Although I did like when Phil Simms when he used to broadcast games with Jim Nantz from time to time. I thought he was pretty solid. Phil Simms.
Yeah, dude, I don't mind Phil Simms. Like, dude, there's most broadcasters I don't really mind so much. I unfortunately Al Michaels has kind of fallen off. He's not as sharp as he once was. I don't
agree,
like
but he's still good.
I don't like Tony Romo. I'm not dude, after that last Patriots game that we played that was the nationally televised one, dude, listening to Al Michaels and Collinsworth just drool over Drake May made me want to friggin' puke. So I could do without either of them right now. And
well, Drake May is not a bad player, but I get what you're saying.
Oh God, why is the guy's name escaping me right now?
Joe Buck.
Yes, thank you, Charles. Wow, you read my mind.
I actually don't mind Joe Buck. I don't think he's that bad.
You know what? There's only one thing that turned me off to him, and it's just this one instance.
The one where Randy Moss pulled his pants, pretended to pull his pants down.
Yes. Dude, the overreaction that he did, oh, that was just such a despicable, disgusting act, and he seemed so offended. I was like, God, you act like the guy pulled his pecker out and waved it around. He just literally shook his ass. He didn't even really pull his pants down. He just acted like he was. The reaction was just really silly and over the top, and I was like, God, man, don't be such a fucking girl about it.
I do like what's his name? Oh,
the backstory. I love that, dude. That was one of my favorite touchdown celebrations ever.
The fuck is his name? One of Marv Albert's sons broadcasts NFL games on Fox. I like him. Is it Brandon Albert?
I believe so.
He's good. I like him.
Dude, Dana, that was pretty freaky because there could have been 24 different broadcasters that I could have named, and Charles just happened to pluck Joe Buck right out of the fucking hat. That.
You know, a lot of people say underneath the comment section on YouTube, Joe Buck sucks. This Kenny Albert, my bad. Kenny Albert, I like him. I like Kenny Albert.
Prince Albert.
Kenny Albert's really good too. I like him. He's a good bro. I think he even broadcasted Knicks games from time to time as well. He's a good broadcaster. I like him a lot.
I think so too. You know who's a little bit underrated, I think, is Myers. Dude, because he did NFL, but then he broadcasted.
Chris Myers?
Yeah, he broadcasted for NASCAR for years and years too. And yeah, I like listening to him. He's decent too.
I also like what the hell is his name? Just came into my friggin' head. Gus Johnson's really good too.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, most of the commentators I really don't mind.
Marv Albert's a legend, Carly. Marv Albert is a legend. Kevin Harlan's pretty good too.
Yeah. Yep.
Kevin Harlan's pretty good too.
Agreed. So, Charles, what are your thoughts on the Jets potentially bringing in Alex Anzalone? You weren't here earlier, I don't think, when I was talking about it, but when the New Orleans
I know some people say don't want him because of his age. I mean, look, if the guy can still play, bring him in. I think he'll provide good veteran leadership. I think he'll probably look. I'm not giving him a bag, but give him a pretty decent deal.
No, not at all. I think they said his projected salary would be $8 or something a year, which is half of what we're paying Sherwood, which I would be fine with that.
I'll be fine with that too. I think he's a good player.
The thing is when he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, Aaron Glenn was there coaching with the Saints at the time. And he played with Aaron Glenn there. But then the same time that Aaron Glenn left the Saints and went to Detroit, Anzalone went at the same time and continued playing under Aaron Glenn in Detroit. So his entire 9-year career, 8 years were with Aaron Glenn. The only year that wasn't was last year because he was finishing up his contract with the Lions. And now that contract is expiring, supposedly he's expressed interest in reuniting with Glenn. And dude, just knowing that he's literally been with Glenn his entire career except for 1 year.
He's still a good player.
You know what, Valerie, I took some regular old, like, just Tylenol cold, and I didn't take the blue ones. I took the yellow ones because they're supposed to be for daytime earlier. And it still made me like so loopy. I was like, damn, man, I hope this wears off before the show tonight. And, but once the show is over, I'm going to do exactly that. I am going to NyQuil myself up, and I am going to pass out and hopefully recover, because at 6 p.m. tomorrow, I've got a 12-hour shift, and I've got 3 of them, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a row, 36 hours in 3 days. So I cannot be feeling like I do right now, where I can't focus and keep track of things, because that'll be a nightmare at my job. And so I've got to try to bounce back. I can't afford to be missing work. And, but I'm a maniac, man. I've done this before. The last time I think I had a flu like this, I went in and worked, and the next day I came home and found out I had like 101 fever. And it sucks, but it's what it is. I'll push through. I'll power through it. You know, I'll walk it off.
What I was gonna say was that, but I don't think I think it'll be a good move in terms of, not only in terms of talent, but in terms of leadership, experience. He's a good player, in my opinion. Anzalone, he's a good player.
He is, and I mean, I know that he's not the long-term solution, but like you said, you know, it's good veteran leadership. We could use it. You know, I'm of the opinion that we not only need to sign a linebacker in free agency, but draft one as well. And the same thing could go for safety. You bring in a guy like Anzalone, then you draft a guy like CJ Allen that I talked about a little bit earlier, who has that leadership already. Likewise, you know, you go out and you get, you know, whether it's a Reed Blankenship from the Eagles, you know, if for some reason he gets priced a little bit out of our range, you could get a guy like Cam Curl, who was really good, you know,
With the Rams.
Yeah. You know, they used him in a little bit different role, where he played like a lot of nickel, like almost like a backer, where he was in the box a lot. But I like a guy that has that kind of versatility. And then you draft a guy. So, you know, say we get a safety from free agency like that, and then we draft a Dylan Thiedemann, who can be like our long-term center fielder, free safety. And then you can develop more a little bit slowly and not force him right into a starting job like we did last year. Bring in an Anzalone and then draft a young guy. And then, you know, God willing.
Are you a fan of CJ Styles? I mean, not CJ Styles, Sonny Styles?
Yes, huge fan. Like, dude, that would be my number one choice for linebacker for the Jets, but I just don't think there's any way he's going to fall to us at 16, and I wouldn't take him at 2.
People say he reminds them a lot of David Harris, who was one of my favorite Jets growing up.
He's faster than Harris is, but he's got that same kind of smarts to him. The thing that I like, and I had mentioned this, you know, prior to your calling in as well, listening to Connor and Trevor when they were breaking down CJ Allen, the Georgia linebacker, they were like, you know, it doesn't show up in the stats. You won't be able to look up any numbers that are going to tell you this, but watching him, you can see him out there commanding the defense, you know, getting guys lined up in the right spots. And he already has that just natural leadership ability to him. And he was doing that, you know, under Kirby at Georgia. Like the level that he did that at, and you're watching, and like he's still calling things out and just right up to the whistle. And that's so important. And you know, Connor was like, I can't even, you know, state like how important that really is. It's not going to show up anywhere, but, you know, I felt like I had to mention it. And I'm like, you know what? That's exactly what we need. That's what we've been missing ever since CJ Mosley left. And so, you know, you know, all the time when people are like, oh, we should, you know, trade for Micah Parsons, or now it's let's trade for Max Crosby. I'm like, what? Give up a couple of our ones? I don't want to like bring in the big name guy who's, entering the end of his prime or starting to get past. Like, I want to get the next Max Crosby or the next Micah Parsons that we get on a rookie deal that's here going into their prime, not at the end of it. I'm tired of signing big name guys that are at the end of their things, whether it's Favre, Rodgers, whoever. Like I want to get the guy that's going into
Still in their prime.
Yeah, exactly. So,
How old is Max Crosby? We look him up.
Dude, they're saying that the Raiders are going to want more for him than what Dallas got in the Micah Parsons trade. So you're talking 2 1s and then plus some. I'm not giving that for Max Crosby.
28 years old. Okay.
I mean, he's not old yet.
I think he should go to Detroit. Could you imagine him and Aiden Hudson rushing the quarterback there?
No, Nate, I did not see that yet. I've got the one from that Jake did saved, and I was going to actually watch that after the show because I haven't gotten to watch it yet. But no, I haven't seen that. But I will check that out whenever the show's over. I'll watch that. And apologies, I know this is probably supposed to be all the latest Jets news, but I'm going to be a little bit.
I'll give you my thoughts on the Frank Reich hire.
Yes, please.
I know Frank Reich obviously has had some experience as a player. I know he's had some success as a coach, but I think overall he's been very inconsistent as an offensive mind. He's had some good years, he's had some bad years, and lately he's had some not so great years on the offensive side of the football. So do I think it's a bad hire? Not necessarily, but at the same time, I kind of preferred Greg Roman.
You know what? I don't mind the Frank Reich hiring. Like, you know what? Listen, in Carolina, he didn't have a lot to work with. Undersized quarterback they had, as a rookie. He wasn't good, Bryce Young. And obviously he's gotten better. I don't think all of that can be put on Reich, but I mean, he's been up and down. Like he hasn't been a world beater by any means, but I do like somebody that's got the experience. And now I'll tell you what I would like as we continue to fill out this coaching staff. I would love to see Greg Roman still come in here and be a run game coordinator for this team.
Absolutely, he's a great run game guy.
Awesome. If I had my way, we would have Greg Roman. If I had my way, we would definitely bring in Kevin Mawai to assist with our offensive line. And if I had my way, and this is the Florida State in me coming through a little bit, but I would reunite Azareye'h Thomas and Patrick Surtain Sr., since Florida State let him go. And I know he was just out at the Pro Bowl refereeing their flag football game that they had, somebody told me, which I think
his son, I'm going to say this right now. I'm a huge fan of his son. I think he's a great player, Pat Surtain II. I'll never forget watching last year's NFL Network's top 100 player list. I think it was Brian Branch, the star defensive back of the Lions. He compared him to Darrelle Revis.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Surtain Jr. is really good. The other thing is, Azareye'h Thomas, if it wasn't for his shitty 40 time, probably could have been a first-round pick. Jarian Jones, who's a starter for the Jaguars. Renardo Green, who's a starter for the 49ers. Safety, Jamie Robinson, who plays for the Panthers. All guys that were coached by Patrick Surtain that all are in the league and are all starters and all doing pretty well with their respective teams. That guy cranked out a lot of good defensive backs when he was at Florida State. And that's the weird thing is man, that was one of their better units. And that was the coach they decided to let go of. Now, the details of that weren't really clear. Who knows? Maybe he wanted out because things weren't going well there. But dude, a guy of that caliber that's out there, I don't know, just me. And I know some people have said, "Oh, we don't need a defensive back coach. We got Chris Harris still apparently." Yeah, but you know what? Dre Bly did get fired, so there is an opening. And you know what? I don't give a shit. You've shaken up the staff this far already. To fucking demote Chris Harris. Like, I'm sorry. I would take Pat Surtain Sr. Over Chris Harris.
I heard Pat Surtain Sr. was a really good player himself.
Dude, he was a very good player. A very good player. And he's a very good coach, too, man. And he plays almost exclusively press man coverage. Like the scheme that he plays is what Aaron Glenn is known for. And so I would be all over that hiring. I'd love
Myles
to see
Garrett just won Defensive Player of the Year. Billy M just said so.
I believe it.
He should have won it. I mean, that to me was a no-brainer. I mean, he broke the sack record.
Yep.
He's a great player, Myles Garrett. One of the greatest of all time.
Me, personally, I wish Brian Branch would have won it, but, you know, he did break the sack record, and that's an accomplishment, a big one. So, dude, hats off to him. That's awesome.
And people are going to compare it to how Michael Strahan broke the record. If you saw the highlight, as Myles Garrett was bending like a freak that he is, he had his hands on Joe Burrow, and then Joe Burrow went down. It's not like Joe Burrow was doing a bootleg, and as soon as he saw Myles Garrett, he slid down, and Myles Garrett fell on top of him.
Right. Well, you know what? People are going to talk about that, and then they're going to talk about the Favre and Strahan one, and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. A sack is a sack, you know. Hey, if the great Tom Brady showed us anything, it's that quarterbacks don't like to get hit, you know. So sometimes rather than get their head taken off, the guy will give himself up. You know, I don't know that I can exactly fault him for that. One last question while I got you here. When you heard that Brian Duker was going to be our defensive coordinator, did you hear that name and say this?
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
Pretty much, yeah. I know who the hell the guy was. But honestly, I hope it's a good one. Hope it's not one where we suck again or we're even worse.
Well, you know what? I think the fact that, you know, he has crossed paths with Glenn, you know, at two previous stops, you know, was with him in Detroit. They're familiar with each other. It's somebody that obviously Glenn has confidence in. And he can do, like, I don't want to say the grunt work, but more of the game planning and the strategy part of it, and let Glenn call the plays. You know, hopefully Glenn can have confidence in Reich to run the offense, and I'm going to let you take care of that and do your thing, and he can concentrate on the defense and get that defense playing the way that it should. We can filter out the last of the soft-ass quitters that are left over from the Saleh regime and get this thing moving forward in the right direction. So
I do love the Carl Dunbar hiring.
I do too. I do too.
He's a great defensive line coach. He was a defensive line coach with the Vikings for a number of years. They had a great run defense. We had a pretty solid run defense under Rex when he was our defensive line coach. I mean, I know. Try to think. When he was our defensive line coach from 2012 to 2014, Muhammad Wilkerson got better. Sheldon Richardson had some good years. Snacks Harrison had some good years.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, he's had very productive units pretty much everywhere he's been, and you know, I hesitate to use the term well traveled, but that's not like, you know, like him and. He was well traveled, but he was successful everywhere he went. Bill Parcells was well traveled everywhere he went. He was successful. However, you get like Steve Wilkes. He was well traveled, but everywhere he went was one and done and not good. So well traveled, I hesitate to use that word because that doesn't always mean a good thing. But in this case, he was productive everywhere that he was.
Pat McMillan of the Panthers just won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, don't make me time you out, Jay. You just got here. I'd hate to see you go so quick. That's just between me and him. You know what? I bet Jay is right at home right now, rocking the "Tet Makes Me Wet" T-shirt.
Oh my God!
That's his guy for sure.
I know what I'm going to say was that I hope Matthew Stafford wins the MVP, man, because he had a hell of a year.
Love you too, Jay. Take care, man.
What I was going to say was that nah, man. I mean,
okay, I guess they're making the announcements now. The MVP hasn't been announced yet. That'll be the last one, correct?
no, I think it's Walter Payton Man of the Year. I think I could be wrong. I know John Hamm is hosting it, so
Who do you think's going to be the MVP this year?
Matt Stafford.
Okay, all right. I'll totally go along with that. I'll go along with that.
Yeah. Stafford had an unbelievable year, and he really wasn't that bad in the playoffs.
No, not at all. Man, I wanted them to go the distance. I'm glad that Sam's there. I'm happy for him. That it's nice to see, that his career has turned around the way that it has. But yeah, I mean, me, I was kind of rooting for the Rams because of Verse and Fisk and my Florida State guys. Which, dude, they were tearing it up in the playoffs. Those guys played their asses off, and both of them had sacks in the playoffs and made an impact. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get it done, which is crazy, man. But hey, it is what it is. Any given Sunday, man. That's the way it goes. So,
but that playoff game between the Rams and the Panthers was a good one.
It was, dude. A lot of the playoff games were good. I'll tell you right now, like, dude, and I can't stand all the people that are like drooling over Drake May right now. Like, he's not a bad quarterback, but he is not the next coming of Tom Brady. I got news for people. And had they played anybody but CJ Stroud in that game, they would have lost. The Texans defense did enough to win them that game if, CJ Stroud hadn't decided to go out there and play like Justin Fields that day and turn the ball over 6 friggin' times. And in the next game, AFC Championship game, they scored 10 points. They won 10-7. In the second half of that game, they didn't score at all. Dude, the Patriots are not as good as people have made them out to be. I think they're frauds. I think they're paper champions. I think they backed their way into this Super Bowl appearance. And, dude, Christian Gonzalez, really good corner. Harold Landry, really good pass rusher. They've got some good players. But overall, the team is not as good as people are making them out to be, especially the media. Like, it makes me want to puke when I hear them just drooling over this kid. And it's like, you know what? They had the same weak ass schedule that we had. They took advantage of it and we didn't. We blew it. We lost a lot of games against crappy teams that we should have won. That being said, we got a tough schedule next year. Let's see how Drake May looks, when he's got the Packers and the Lions and the Vikings and that division to deal with, as well as the Bills. Now they got Jim Leonard there. Dude, Jim Leonard did follow Rex to Buffalo, right? After he left here. I'm correct about that, right?
Oh, Jim Leonard?
Yeah.
He started with the after the 2014 season, he retired.
Okay, maybe not that. For some reason, somebody was telling me that he went to Buffalo because he had played there. And I'm thinking he did?
That was in 2013.
Okay. So yeah, he did play there So yeah,
from 2000 out 2011, he played for the Jets. 2012, he played for the Broncos. 2013, played for the Bills. 2014, he played for the Browns. After that, he retired.
Oh shit! Okay, you know what? I had forgotten. I do remember now that he went to the Broncos. That's right. and then he went to the Bills after that. You know what? I forgot that he was even in Cleveland.
He was a solid player, though, Jim Leonard.
He was, and I would have liked to get him for our defensive coordinator, but now that he's a Buffalo Bill, fuck that guy. I hope we whoop their ass all year. I'm glad that he inherited a mess of a defense. Hey, players always bet on themselves, and I'm betting that he thinks he's the guy that can turn that unit around. We'll see. But you know what? I'm ready to reload and come at these people next year, and it's going to be a whole brand new Jets team, and it's not going to be what they've been used to facing. I'm excited. We all thought that when we had that draft that brought us Garrett and Sauce and Jermaine and Brees all in the same draft, that was going to be like a franchise-changing draft, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out like that long term. However, this one could. And you know what? Not only can we do it this year, because that, you could look in Jets history and say that was a historic draft that JD had that year. You can look back to,
2000,
the Keyshawn trade. Yeah, when we got John Abraham and Sean Ellis and Chad Pennington.
I love Sean Ellis. He was a solid football player.
Yeah. All in the same draft. And then later in that draft, we got Lavernius Coles too. That was like a franchise-altering draft. Well, now we have the opportunity to not only have one of those, but have back-to-back franchise-changing drafts. We've got the ammo to do it. If we get the right coaches in place and we hit on those picks, like we can turn this thing around a lot quicker than people think. We may not get our long-term answer at quarterback this year, but amen, Jay. Amen. You know what? We can get 7 or 8 wins this year and just showed mark improvement, steady incremental improvement. I'll be happy. But yeah, you know what? 2027 is absolutely going to be playoffs or bust. And I don't mean a Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys one and done type playoffs. I mean, like actually winning a playoff game and advancing further than that first round. So amen to that, man. I'm all on board. I hope so. By the way, thank you to everybody in the chat. I've been doing some giveaways here on the channel, giving away a bunch of our merch. Nate won this awesome Jet Skull hoodie that I gave away. Luppy was the very last person to call in for last month's giveaway and actually ended up winning the Garrett Wilson autographed helmet.
I like seeing Garrett Wilson, man. He's a good player.
Garrett Wilson's fucking awesome. And
we should have made the playoffs in 2022. Mike White should have been the starter. And I think what also hurt the team in 2022, the offensive line wasn't that good.
Yeah, yep, that's true. But yeah, I'm
I've been saying this for years. Having a good offensive line is just as important as having a good quarterback. Because you need to.
Yeah, you've got to have a good offensive line because if you don't, like, the run game's not going to work. If the run game doesn't work, play action's not going to work. Like, you've got to have the guys up front or else nothing behind that works. That's actually an excellent point, Charles.
Now that is a hot take. Damn.
But I hope to God this draft is good. I would like to see, I know a lot of people like, what's his name? Bane. No relation to the Batman villain. From Miami. People like to shit on because he has crocodile-like arms, but hey. Jason, people, I know he was a Dolphin most of his career, but Jason Taylor wasn't exactly the biggest defensive end in the world, yet he was one of the best pass rushers of all time.
Well, you know what? I say the same thing. I've heard that T-Rex comment about Bane, whatever. But you know what? Melvin Ingram from the Chargers, they said the same thing about his short arms when he came out, and he was a very good pass rusher for a long
When he
time.
was healthy.
When he was healthy. But yeah, and dude, you know what? I almost dread that would happen because
I still can't believe he could be Copels.
football with Bane. Like I can just see all the storylines that will spin off of that. At the end of the day, I just want good players. I just want to win some games. That's
So do
all
I.
do it. Dude, I'm gonna start winding this thing down because I feel like absolute crap. And
Hey, man, don't worry about it. Do what's best for you, my friend. It was great seeing you. It was great talking with you as always. Also, I would really would like. There's one. Shit. Is Jacoby Brissett a free agent, or is he still with Arizona?
he's technically not a free agent, so if we wanted him, we would have to trade for him. But
I like him a lot too.
yeah, Nick Faria was talking about that this morning, and the main thing with that is like, I don't want to really give up, some of those prime assets to trade for, essentially a backup quarterback. But then Nick Faria was like, you know what? They're trying to do like a complete reset over there, and we could probably get him for like just a late round pick swap. And I'm like, well, shit, if that's all it takes, I would do that in a heartbeat. So I would not be opposed to that move, depending on price. Like, like my wife says, everything always comes down to money. So truer words never spoken. But
Scott K9D mentioned the same T-Rex comments were mentioned in regards to Cleveland Browns legend, Hall of Fame left tackle Joe Thomas.
Yeah, right. He ended up having a pretty damn good career. Joe Thomas was, a beast for a long time. I mean, it's
not his fault the Cleveland Browns sucked. I mean, the Cleveland Browns, I think they're just as bad, if not a worse organization than the Jets. And they only had one winning season during his tenure. They didn't make the playoffs at all. Yet year in and year out, he was one of the best players in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's too bad for him to see a guy that talented waste his entire career there. But, dude, that's the thing. Like,
at least Myles Garrett made the playoffs and won a few playoff games.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Well, you know what? Our time is coming. I really believe that. Thank you to everybody for joining me. I appreciate all of you, like always.
Hit that like and subscribe button. He really needs it.
Yep, absolutely. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel while you are here. We got a lot of good content coming your way. And giveaways to be doing. This month for 28 days of February, we got our 28-day giveaway with the signed Curtis Martin photo at the end of the month. And you know what? Unlike other channels where you've got to gift memberships or super chat, I'm not monetized. I can't do any of that stuff. So all you got to do to get in on my giveaways is just call into the show. That doesn't cost you a dime, and you get to win some cool jet swag. So appreciate all you guys. Charles, thank you so much for joining me, brother. Have a
great day, man.
Yep, and I will be talking to you soon. I am going to go and take some cold medicine and, well, and try to start feeling a little bit better. But thank you, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate all of you, as always. Until I see you next time, which will be Tuesday night at 8 p.m., everybody have a great week. And go Jets.
Thank you. Good night. We love you all.